I wanted to just cover off a product that I've just started getting my head around, which is Motec's display creator software. So I'm seeing quite a few of the people that I follow in the motorsport wiring and tuning industry starting to use display creator. And for those who aren't aware, what it does, it allows you the flexibility to pretty much design any display you want for the Motec range of dashes. That's including their 5-inch, their 7-inch, and their 12-inch displays. So the displays themselves come with a lot of flexibility built in. So absolutely, this is not essential, but if you want to do something very specific, maybe you've got a way that you want your dash to function, this allows you the flexibility to do that. I have previously had a very brief look at Display Creator and decided it was beyond me. And since we've got a little bit deeper into our Toyota SR86 project, and I wanted to bring in some things that weren't available in the traditional layouts, I decided to get a bit more involved. Also, thanks to Sam and our video team, who's a bit more talented in the graphic design side of things than I am. He kind of got me started, and then I went with it. So what we'll do is we'll jump back across to my laptop screen. This is actually a nice feature that's running at the moment while I just sort of get started talking about this, which is their simulate function. So what this allows you to do is actually connect to Motec's i2 or i2 Pro. So if we jump across here, this is actually a qualifying lap that I ran on the weekend in the 8.6. So this is all the data in i2. It's obviously playing through that, and we can come back to Display Creator. So we actually see exactly what's going on. I will mention that I'll just get my cursor working, the shift light module in this example is not simulated. That's sort of a separate thing outside of Display Creator. So what we can see here is I've kind of gone with a GT3 style theme. And there's a lot of information on this dash, but the beauty of it is that, as you can see right now, everything is essentially white. As you see that sort of purple overlay come up, that is my extreme shift light. So basically I've got the shift lights at the top set up for race conditions where I'm shifting around about 7,600 RPM. The engine actually makes peak power at about 882. So I've got that purple overlay come up, might see it again, comes up at 8 grand or just above 8 grand, so that if I'm in a qualifying lap, I will push it until I actually see that color come up. Anyway, this just lets you essentially quantify everything's working how you want and see the dash in action as it will be on the racetrack. So we'll stop that simulation anyway, go back to our pages here. I just want to talk you through some of the elements here. Let me just get back to our main page. So this is what the dash looks like here, and what I've been able to do with it, which is a really nice feature, is bring in color coding of all of the elements. So on the top left here, we've got our temperatures for our engine coolant and our engine oil, and we've also got our battery voltage and our oil pressure. Now, what we really want to do is ignore everything on the dash unless there is a problem. So what I've done with this is basically color coded it so that when everything is below its ideal operating temperature or pressure, we're going to have these in blue. When it's inside the window that I want it to be in, it's going to be white. In other words, there's no color at all. And then of course, if it's going to go above the sort of range that I want, we can end up having that go red. So if we just dive into how that looks, let me just get rid of this. If we come over here to our engine temperature group, and we'll open that up. So we've got our channel value here for our engine temperature. This is coming through as one of the Display Creator channels. We've got our actual label here, which is T_engine. You can obviously make that whatever you want. And then for the actual color change here, we've got our switch engine temperature group. So we've got 3 groups here, 3 switch groups. So this is just how this works. So this one here is going to be if the engine temperature is above 105 degrees. And we've we've got the red color there for that particular condition. Then if we come down to this one here, this is when we are below 60 degrees, and you can see we've gone blue there. That's now shown out on the left hand side on the actual screen, so we can see what it's actually going to look like. And then when we are within the range, which is between 60 degrees and 105, basically it's going to go white. So we've basically got that sort of strategy going through with everything. Likewise, we've got our tire pressure monitoring system here. So this will give us tire pressures as the car's going around the track. When we're below, I think I've set this to about 26 psi, they will be blue, and when we go above 29 psi, they will go orange. So again, just at a glance, we've got everything we need to know. We've also got here our lap gain loss, so that will work off our reference lap here, which we can load up. Obviously there's nothing in there at the moment, and basically as we're going around, this will either be green if we are doing better than our last reference lap, or it's going to be red if we're going slower. Likewise, it will show us a predicted lap. So I mean, it really depends. That's useful for qualifying. For a race, we don't really care too much about it. Now, other things I wanted to do here as well is make sure that as a driver, I was aware of if anything got changed, any of the switch positions. So we've got overlays, for example, here for when the boost switch is updated, or changed position. So I've got my steering wheel here, and on the right hand side of the steering wheel, we've got the little boost switch. It is a 5-position switch, 0 through to 4. So at any time that is adjusted, we will get our boost setting shown on the dash for about 3 seconds, just to show that that has been updated. Likewise, we've got the same for traction control, whether the rain lights on or off, when we've reset the fuel used, and when the session timer has started. So these overlays work on top, as their name implies, work over the top of our main page. That one there is the overlay you saw in the simulation, where the whole screen has a purple overlay when the RPM in this case goes above 8,000 RPM. So there's a lot of flexibility you can bring in here. We've got another couple of pages set up as well for the likes of our lambda and exhaust gas temperatures, then our overall temperatures and pressures, which is useful to look at during warm-up, for example. And then I've also got a couple of pages set up for our 2 PMUs. We can show the status of any of the channels of the PMU, as well as their voltage, their current, and their current load. Lastly, I also set up something just to give us an indication of what was going on when we had the pit limiter on. We've got a fairly stringently enforced 40km/h pit limit when we are going through pit lane. If you exceed that, you will get a drive-through penalty. Obviously not what you want. So what I've got here is an overlay that pops up when the pit limit is on, and this number here will show the number that I am overlaying in red, which doesn't really show up too well. Anyway, the big number there is of course our vehicle speed. And again, if we go to our switch group here, so if we are above 40 kilometers an hour, 39.9 kilometers an hour, that will be red. And if we are below 40 kilometers an hour, it's going to be green. So again, really big visual cue for the driver of what's going on. So really the key for me, I only want to be looking at the dash for specific things, something basically being wrong. So I'm using color here to quickly bring my attention to anything that does maybe need to be looked at a little bit more deeply. And other than the pit limiter being on, for example, if everything on that dash is white, I know I don't need to worry, and I can just focus on driving the car and the shift light. So again, it's not going to be for everyone. It is a really powerful tool, and honestly, it doesn't actually take that long to get familiar with, and once you've got your head around it, gives you a lot of flexibility to make the dash basically do whatever you want.
If you like that video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you're not already a subscriber, make sure you're subscribed. We release a new video every week. And if you like free stuff, we've got a great deal for you. Click the link in the description to claim your free spot to our next live lesson.